From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Does it feel like fall, or has this pandemic canceled all fall activities? I'm Annie Johnson with the full story coming up.
Also, researchers warning the number of COVID deaths in the United States could double by February. What they say needs to be done to avoid that also coming up.
A new surgery for scoliosis patients is cutting recovery time in half. I'm Nancy Chen with how it's helped a teen gymnast get back to her love of tumbling and dance.
Well, happy Tuesday, Southwest Montana. It is 5:30. Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell with you here. Kind of a chilly morning out there, not super unexpected for the middle of October, but the winds of change are blowing our direction.
Our temperatures will climb a lot because the wind's going to be a little stronger, mixes up the bottom part of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
You're going to see warmer temperatures, but the wind speeds are going to be unbelievable, I think. Right now, 31 degrees in Butte, 32 in Belgrade, 28 in West Yellowstone. Pretty uniform across the area for the early part of the morning. We are watching the clouds rolling in. Behind that, we'll see a few spotty showers, not necessarily heavy in the first part of the day, but we will see some heavier showers trying to develop as you head into the afternoon, especially west of the divide. The big story today is going to be the wind. Daytime highs into the mid to upper 50s. Wind speed could approach the 50-mile-an-hour range.
Another 50-50 day.
I don't like 50-50 days. We're going to talk about how much more of this you have in store over the course of the next few days. Of course, coming up in just a few minutes.
You bringing back that burnt auburn graphic?
It'll be back, I promise.
Or brown, as some of us call it? Yeah, we'll find out.
Tomato.
5:31, our top story this half hour. There are several active COVID-19 hotspots around the Treasure State right now. Health officials putting in new restrictions in Yellowstone County and said the order will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. Kalispell regional healthcare officials in the Flathead County urging people there to stop the surge. And in Missoula County, cases have been in the 20 to 29-year-old age group, but now there's an increase in people 70 to 79 and the 80 plus. Healthcare officer there says cases are popping up in long-term and senior care facilities. And one more COVID death in Yellowstone County takes the statewide toll from the pandemic to 219. State Health Department reporting 423 new cases yesterday. The Gallatin City County Health Department showing 236 active cases, 5 people in the hospital. Butte Silver Bowl also has a surge with 46 new cases, 102 considered active in that county. So far tallied 396 total coronavirus cases. Well, multiple fall festivals have been canceled this year due to the pandemic. It includes the downtown Bozeman trick-or-treating event, the Gallatin Valley Malloween trick-or-treating event. But MTN's Annie Johnson has more on how fall activities are doing during the pandemic.
This year has obviously been different than any other, but what I'm finding out is people want their sense of normalcy back, even if it's through something simple like going through a corn maze.
We're at the Montana Corn Maze.
Rose owns the Montana Corn Maze, and just like everything else, the pandemic has forced her to adapt.
We had to change a lot of things. We have a lot of things that aren't open. We've had to limit the number of people per hour, but actually it's been going very well.
Despite the adjustments, the Corn Maze is still operating and trying to give people something to do while a lot of things are being canceled.
We've had several people thank us for working through this to be open, because they all say we need to get out with our kids. So they're very grateful that it's open.
But unfortunately, opening wasn't the case for all festivities in the valley. This year, the Bozeman Maze decided not to open. It was on East Valley Road, but as you can see, nothing going on behind me. They decided to remain closed this year due to the pandemic.
We decided not to open the maze this year because we just couldn't justify putting in the huge amount of effort that it takes to build and the huge amount of money that we have to invest to open every year, when we weren't 100% sure that we could stay open through the whole season.
It was a tough decision for this owner, especially knowing everything else that's been lost.
We know it's a hit to not have another event this year, one more event that's been canceled, and we know that's a hit to the community. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with the next year.
The Montana Corn Maze will be open until October 31st. Reporting at the Montana Corn Maze in Manhattan, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
And he tells us the Montana Corn Maze has had to limit registrations to online and limit the number of people in the maze according to recommendations from the county health department. Well, there's a grim forecast for America. A key coronavirus model now projecting COVID-19 will kill nearly 400,000 people by February. That is unless people mask up. Camila Bernal has more.
COVID-19 cases are now on the rise in more than 30 states, the surge pushing the national average of new cases per day to just under 50,000, a 14% spike from just last week.
It's on a trajectory of getting worse and worse, and that's the worst possible thing that could happen as we get into the cooler months.
Researchers at NYU warning that a second wave of devastation is imminent, linked to mounting evidence of rising mental health issues and substance abuse.
But I think we need to be really careful right now not to make an assumption that the current disconnect between the rising number of cases and deaths, that could reconnect very, very badly and very catastrophically unless we're very, very careful.
Meanwhile, President Trump is back on the campaign trail. His doctor says he's tested negative and has cleared him for a busy week of scheduled campaign rallies, starting with Florida Monday night.
Put aside all of the issues of what political implications a rally has, and just put that aside and look at it purely in the context of public health. We know that that is asking for trouble when you do that.
I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
Back here at home now at 5:35. This year's Indigenous Peoples Day celebration at Montana State University included the current U.S. Poet Laureate with a virtual lecture reading from her works and answering questions. Joy Harjo is the first Native American to hold that title. Now, MSU President Dr. Waded Cruzado said, quote, "On all days, but particularly on this occasion, we come together and recognize the ancestral holdings upon which our university is located, and will recognize that although we are specific and distinct peoples, we are united in one MSU community," end quote. Now, Harjo has won numerous awards and says she's dedicated her career to making Native people and their stories visible. Also, Montana Tech in Butte celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day yesterday with events that highlighted Native American culture in the Treasure State. Students and staff were invited to watch a documentary film on the local tribes that lived in Montana. Native American inspired food was served and events held to bring awareness of the cultural impact.
You know, the really exciting thing is right now we have 83 Native American students at Montana Tech, which is about 2.8% of our student enrollment. And we want to see every one of those students succeed. And by celebrating their culture, that's a way to support them.
Now, the event also featured talks with 3 Native American alums from Montana Tech. On the national scene again, a new minimally invasive surgery helping patients with scoliosis get back on their feet in half the time as traditional treatment. CBS's Nancy Chen followed on one teen's journey and shows us how it's helped her return to her love of dance.
Annika Recio is attempting a flip for the first time since her back surgery just 3.5 months earlier. We first met Annika before her surgery in March. The 14-year-old gymnast is now returning to tumbling and dance 4 years after being diagnosed with scoliosis, a debilitating curvature of the spine. The condition left Annika in a brace and constant pain.
I thought my life was over when they told me that I had scoliosis.
How's your back feel?
A lot better than before surgery.
Annika and her family chose a new surgery done through small incisions called tethering.
We place screws into the vertebra or the building blocks of the spine, and then we connect them with a flexible rope, essentially a cord, which we then tension and get correction of the curve while again maintaining flexibility and growth of the spine.
Dr. Baron Launer at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York says patients are able to get back to their physical activities in half the time compared to the more invasive spinal fusion.
I think the promise of this operation of tethering is that not only will it maintain flexibility now, but it may result in less problems that we see sometimes after a fusion.
Annika is still recovering, and while it's sometimes been a painful process, she says moments like this give her confidence.
As soon as I landed it, I thought, oh my God, I could do this again. Like, I am myself again. Like, I've been pushed to my limits and I was still able to do what I really wanted to do.
Jumping for joy now that she keeps doing what she loves. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
5:39 now. Here a programming note to pass along. KBZK KXLF schedule will change tonight. NFL has changed its schedule, so will we. Our 5:30 news will now be on at 4 o'clock, followed by the CBS Evening News at 4:30. The NFL on CBS kicks off at 5. FBI Declassified will be on at 8. If you can't watch our news at 4, remember you can watch MTN News anytime with the KBZK streaming app. Download it for your favorite device. Stay up to date on your schedule. So the 5:30 news will be at 4 tonight.
I'll be asleep by 6, so
That's
it doesn't really matter.
right in the middle of the night for you and I, Matt.
That's right.
5:39 now. We teased this a moment ago. Driving a boat can be hard. Take a look at this video out of Florida on a river. 24-foot vessel having a bit of an issue. Three men on that boat.
A few spins around there. You can see the wakes.
Definitely making some waves and some wakes. And then things just get a little out of hand as the boat starts to head to shore. You can see clearly out of control. Should I park here? This is a good one. Well,
the brakes.
No.
Nope.
No. Whoa. Yeah, and this all caught on camera by a law enforcement helicopter. Good news is 3 men on that boat were not on that boat. That's why it was going around in circles. They had fallen off in the boat trying to...
It's dangerous and frightening, but that's a happy ending right on the dock.
That's
right?
You couldn't quite hear the radio announcement there from the helicopter pilot saying, I'm going to check and see how the occupants are. They were clear out to sea. They had never actually even made it after that first corner apparently had gone off. So the boat just found its way home like a good horse.
That's why I don't have a motor on my boat.
It's you, Matt.
It's me.
That's it. Don't lose the oar. You'll be fine.
That's right.
5:41. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look back at the career of Hall of Fame second baseman Joe Morgan. That, of course, happens in the locker room. But first, here's what's happening on Wall Street.
A strong start to the week on Wall Street and the most popular Halloween sweets of the year. I'm Naomi Ruckham at the CBS Broadcast Center. I'll have those stories and more in your CBS Money Watch report.
Candy corn.
Whoppers.
You think so?
That's my most popular.
Yeah. If it's a candy corn, I'm out. Futurecast showing a little snow in the forecast, but that's not going to grab the headlines for today. It's the wind. We'll break down the forecast and what to expect coming up. Current time coming up on 5:42. You're watching Montana This Morning.